Good Friday morning. It's EJ here with my buddy. I'm screwing everything up here right now.
And now you ain't got no audio. Oh no. He did not just leave me this. Okay.
All right. How we doing now?
I got
Can
you
you
an
hear the
echo.
echo?
I can.
I'm trying to have a screen in my hand that I can do comments with. New setup. Freestyle Friday. We don't know what's going to happen. Here we are in my new office. I'm trying to figure things out. But here we are. EJ. He's Jeremy. Got your 6 appliance repair if you don't know him. He's going to be most professional servicer this year. It's going to happen. So speak it into existence. If you're starting out your business, you're going to want to listen to this episode. We're going to talk about hiring technicians after I flip myself around. All right. So, first of all, let's say good morning to our friends. Gasper, what's up, buddy? Gasper also may be most professional servicer. They're going to fight over who's going to run so they don't run against each other. Adam,
No,
what's
we
going
already
on?
handled that. We already had the discussion.
Kelly from Kentucky, what's up? We got Paul Hartland checking in. Wow, we got a bunch of them here. Uh, Sounds good. Yeah, baby. Okay. Book nerds. Hey, look at here. Look at here.
Hey,
I got a I
takes
got a
one to know
bookshelf
one.
so that way people when they come into my office they think I'm smart, but none of those books have been opened. So like if I read a book that I like, and when I say read I mean listen to on Audible, I buy the book so that people know that I read it. So that's what we do here. And we have, man, yes, grow the lid. Hey, what he's talking about is we have this book club inside the Alliance group, and you're seeing a bunch of them here watching right now. Doug and Gasper and me and Jeremy, and that's right. I read books because Audible reads them to me. Jeremy actually listens to the Audible and reads the book and then does it over again.
Kind of. Most of the time, I listen to Audible while following along with the book.
There you go. There you go. So, Jeremy, not everybody here knows you. So, give us a little introduction, who you are, where you're from, what your business is, how did you get that cool name, and what's going on with you right now.
So
Talk to
I've
me.
been in the industry since 2003. So a little bit over 20 years. Worked for one of the manufacturers up until July 5th of 22 is whenever I quit and started my own. Um, no, actually, I've been in since since 02. Well, thank you, Doug.
Yes,
But
the killer podcast voice, Jeremy, the
the
radio man.
name was actually really tough because when I decided to start my own business, I was trying to figure out a good name. You know, I live in a small town, which if I did it, a name-based location, uh, or location-based name, it would limit my service area because people wouldn't call me from a lot of the area around here. And then, please don't take any offense to this, EJ. I didn't want to use my name because that's forgettable. So when I was discussing it, Uh, I'm gonna turn my green screen off. But anyone that knows me, I've had this logo tattooed on me for about a decade now, and the meaning behind the logo is far more important than the logo itself. For those of y'all that don't know, IGY6 stands for I've got your six. The semicolon in the English language is used in place of a period when a sentence isn't over. Teal is the color for post-traumatic stress disorder. I've got your six is a most common military term for I've got your back. And the red on the six represents on average 22 vets a day take their own lives dealing with PTSD. So what this logo really means is stop, pause. I've got your back. Don't be one of the 22. Your sentence isn't over.
Amen. Amen. We could stop that right there. Uh, but we're not going to. So, that's Jeremy. Now, back to the podcast here. Just a second. We do Bible and business. So, we start the episodes with prayer. And we didn't get to establish this on the pre-roll. Do you have a favorite Bible verse, Jeremy?
My favorite Bible verse is probably one of the toughest verses for Christians to hear. It's not really a go out and minister and preach to non-believers. This one's to preach to believers. It's Titus 1:16. Titus 1:16 says, "You claim to know Christ, but by your actions you deny him. That is despicable and detestable and unfit for doing any good."
Mm,
And what that verse means to me, I say I'm a Christian. Are my actions living to that standard? Am I doing more harm to the kingdom by my actions?
amen. You know, that's a gut check. You're right. It's not a fun one to quote and hear as a Christian, but that's real. Are you doing what you say you're doing? I'll tell you, man. As a Christian, once you say that you're a Christian, you're being watched, you're being judged, and people want to know, is it real? And the
Absolutely.
fact of the matter is, none of us are worthy. But if we strive to be like Christ, then we're doing better than most, I guess. You should be striving and walking the walk, talking the talk. So, so, oh yeah, you may be a believer, but are you a follower of the word? What is that in? Is that James? Don't be hearers of the word, but be doers of the word. So, thanks for joining, Samuel. Uh, do you want to do the honors and pray?
I'd be honored to.
Go ahead.
Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for allowing this group of men and women to meet and just to lift you up in everything we do day in and day out, but especially through our business and be men and women of integrity and to use our talents to further your kingdom, Lord. Let us have a great day. Let us close out this week. Thank you for the start of another quarter. And Lord, let us finish this year strong. In your name I pray. Amen.
And keep the hat off there for a second. I want to
No,
say a
the
lot of
hair's
people.
messed up.
So a lot of people have said that they're surprised I got this much hair and it's not gray. And I'll tell you, when I met Jeremy, I was surprised he had a full head of hair. Uh, it's just not normal for us technicians to have hair. It's great hair. So there it is. Uh, I didn't even see this comment. I'm judging your hairstyle. You looking like Zach Morris. Powerful verse. Yes, the bar is set. It's not a man, but of Jesus. Amen. Thanks for joining Jar Appliance. Uh, so, somebody was at the door. What are we talking about today? Hiring technicians. And I brought Jeremy on because he's already making that step in his new business. Got some hair comments. See, I'm, I know what I'm talking about. So you might want to listen, both of us. So, Jeremy, you mentioned that you started your business a year ago, roughly, right?
We're coming up on 16 months, roughly. Actually, yeah,
Yeah,
16 months today.
16 months. And you just hired your first tech. How long
About
ago?
a month and a half ago, about 6 weeks ago.
And how long between the time that you decided, yeah, I'm going to hire a tech, and the day that he started?
From the date I said I'm gonna hire a tech, I said, or before I started thinking I need to hire a tech,
Yeah, that one.
because I I would say that one took me a good 6 months to get the courage up to hire somebody to even, start that process. Because I mean, you know it, Doug knows it. Anyone that's got a tech knows it. If they do it right, it's not about me anymore. It's about
Yeah,
him. I've got to take care of him before I ever take care of me, and that's
yeah,
a huge commitment.
it sure is. That, I'll tell you the thing that really shocked me when I made my first hire, Unicorn Terry. Uh, it ain't just my family counting on this now, and I love his family. Uh, his kids are great. His wife's funny. She gives him a hard time, so I like that about her. Uh, and she's friends with my wife. Uh, but now I got everything I do. His family's counting on too, and now we got four techs other than me. Four people on the team other than me, so five families counting on it. It's scary. Talk about the feeling of that, the nerves, and how you got over it.
I don't know if I've gotten over it. Um, Long story short is I knew it was not sustainable as a one man show. I was losing too many customers from being booked out too far. I personally feel, and there's people a lot smarter than me that have probably done studies on this, but I feel the magic number is 3 days. If you're booked out further than 3 days, you're going to start losing calls.
Yeah,
I couldn't
I've
provide
got my back
emergency
number.
service.
You know, uh, a lot of people that are watching or will watch are in this spot where uh, between where you are uh, or where you was 6 months ago and where I am and some of those above me. Uh, we've all experienced this, and you just mentioned how you knew it was time. So this building a team is not for everybody. Some people want to stay a one man show, and that's cool. It's probably easier, stressfully, stress wise. You may be more profitable at first, and the only thing is you're the one that does all of it. And you decided early on that you didn't want to be the only one doing this, and you wanted to change the industry in your area, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
so the question we get a lot, and I got your question here, Jar, and we're going to hit that. We're going to try to keep it in sequence here. So hang tight on that. Uh, a lot of people ask, how do you know when it's time to hire and when you're ready? Now, you mentioned you're booked out 3 days and you start losing calls. And that's a good measure. And there's a couple other things that you did that you made sure you had in line before that. So talk about some of those things on how you know you're ready to hire, not just that you need to, but that you're ready.
Well, I think it really goes back to what are your goals? Um, for example, I mean, my goals, my 5 year plan is I want to have at least 10 technicians covering 5 counties around me, 5 counties that are rural right now, but growing exponentially. Um, some of my counties, I get those calls not because I'm their first choice, but because I'm the only one that's going to go out there and service them out there.
Yeah.
Most of the companies do not go out to these areas because they're, more rural.
Tell everybody what area you're in.
I'm in the Dallas Fort Worth area, specifically the northwest side. I'm in Denton County. And right now, I covered Denton, and why anyone from Texas will know, anyone from DFW will know this, but I covered Denton and Wise County right now. My goal is to expand into Jack, Montague, and Cook County as well.
Yeah. All right. So we got a quick question here that kind of goes with this. How many calls do you schedule a day before you start scheduling the next day? You might also mention in this answer how you went from answering your own phone to what you do now.
So the answer in your own phone, stop it. Just stop it, people. I personally would never answer a phone while I was in a customer's house. While I'm in that customer's house, I am that customer's. That is my entire philosophy. They're paying me for my time. They're paying me for my time and my knowledge. Um, so don't answer the phone while you're in a customer's house. Um, I lost so many calls because I couldn't get to them fast enough. You don't answer that phone call, they're going to call the next company. So
Yep.
I went to my office help, and at first it was something that scared me because of the cost. But I started thinking about it. If they capture 2 calls a week that I lost because I couldn't get to my phone fast enough, they pay for themselves. And
Absolutely.
believe me, they get way more than 2 calls a week from me.
And you notice the difference in the stress in the phone call. This is what they do, and they're not behind a fridge or just got back in the truck thinking about the next call, trying to figure all this stuff out. It really makes a difference to the customer. So to the question, how many calls are you booking in one day before you go to the next?
So if it's a fresh, clean call that I've never touched, um, it's going to be 4 mornings and 4 afternoons. Now, let's
Okay.
say I see one of those calls comes in and it's an LG and it says not cooling. Well, I'm going to block out the time and take that compressor with me because there's a
Amen.
pretty good chance that it's going to be a compressor. And
Impulse buy.
not even it's not even just about an impulse buy. If you talk to the customer and explain to them the current market of appliances, I've been very successful in closing that job. I would say I'm probably at 80 to 90% closing of that job, because I really do feel that that 134A Sam or that 134A LG refrigerator when it's fixed is still far superior than that R600 that's out there on the market right now.
Well, you trying to start a fight with some people now. I agree. I agree. Uh, they are great fridges after you fix the major fatal flaw. Uh, so let's go to um, now to answer that question again too. It's Jeremy's doing 8, but he's been doing this for 20 years, uh, and he's making a route that makes that efficient. If you're not doing 8, that's fine. Uh, Pick your number that you can be comfortable with, and do that. So let's go back to this question because the comments are just flying in for this one. Jar says, "Is it better to hire as a sub or employee?"
I'd like to take this one first and foremost.
Go ahead.
And, you've got Zach commenting down later about laws. I'm not even talking about the law portion of it. This is my name. This is my brand. You cannot control subs. And I'm not talking, to an extent, you can't control, W-2 employees, but you get a lot more control with W-2 than you do with 1099.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I want to be in control of my brand. I
You
have
know,
between both Google listings I have, and yeah, it's nowhere near EJ numbers, and one day I will be there, but I have about roughly about 150 Google reviews between both my Google listings.
well, you got me
And
beat by a long shot right now. I've got 7. My 3 killer locations are all suspended right now, so I don't know how many reviews I got.
oh
They're
no,
gone. They're gone.
but
I lost over 1,000 reviews.
that sucks. But out of
So,
those roughly 150 reviews, I have one 4-star review and everything else is 5-star, which I know
ooh,
makes it look fake. I know that. I know one day I'll get that 1 star,
you know,
but I will bend
I
over
don't
backwards for
worry
my
too much
customer.
about that. That's the stuff we say when we have a 4.6 or 4.7 to make us feel better. And it's fine. It's true, but there ain't a daggone thing wrong with being 5-star. Mine usually stay at the 4.9 level because by the time I get back to 5, I'll have an idiot drop a 1 star or 2 1 stars back to back, and it goes. So on that note, Paul has an interesting take, and I want to keep this on here for a sec and really get this answer. Hire subs if you want to help your customers get service sooner and grow someone else's business. Hire employees if you want to grow your own. So there is something to this, and the way it come out, you may interpret this comment differently. Uh, so the first part of that, hire subs if you want to get your customers serviced sooner. Yes, that would be the minimum that you get with a sub. Uh, and of course, nobody wants to help somebody else grow their business, but that is, as a result, what you're doing. Now, I have some subs in an area I'm trying to grow, and yeah, I'm helping them grow their business, but I'm getting the what do you call it? Just getting the swings in on my listings up there, my SEO in that area before I can come up and really take it over. So I'm making money, and they're making money, and the people that called me are still getting serviced sooner than I will. But it's a give and take. Now, what most people say when they're asking about subs checks in with where is it? What man? I missed a bunch of comments here. With what Zach is saying. So a subcontractor works for their own business. A lot of times they're a sole proprietor, they're one man, and they work for other people. And you decide what you're going to pay them. commission or a flat rate, and whatever they do, you pay them. They wear their stuff. They show up and they show up when they want to. Uh, Before I did appliance repair, I worked for a exercise equipment repair as a subcontractor, and it's where I realized that I could do this. I worked on treadmills and whatnot. I was a subcontractor. They gave me a customer's name, description of the problem, phone number, and address. I called the customer, scheduled an appointment, showed up however I wanted, and took care of that customer, and then filed an invoice to be paid after. That's all they could do with me. Now that took care of their customers. It's kind of what we do with uh, warranty companies.
Absolutely.
We have a problem. You set up the appointment. You show up in your stuff. Take care of our customer, and we pay you a portion. So if you're not using subs like that, you're probably not doing it right. Okay, according to what and Zach's right. So
In the
check your
state
local
of
laws.
Texas, there is actually on the comptroller's website, there is actually a long checklist that you have to be able to check off every box to find out if it's a 1099 or a W-2.
Wait a
And
minute.
from my experience,
Did you say a majority of the boxes?
every box,
So 95%.
100, every box. And when I was
Man,
reading it, I looked at it and said, I can't see how I could check off about 3 of those boxes. So I cannot, I can't, I don't think I could ever do 1099s.
yeah.
Not and stay with good graces with the state and the country.
You know, you had mentioned earlier in your decision to hire one somebody to answer the phones and two other techs, right? Uh, look here, Jesse V checking in. Thanks for joining us. It's
Hey
from
Jesse, I need to reach out to you somehow.
look Jesse. Look up Jeremy on Facebook, Jeremy Gifford, and
Either that or IGY6 repair.
yeah, some networking going on here. Uh,
I actually have
so
a small group of local companies. We meet up once a quarter and have lunch and just
awesome,
talk about the industry. And we're doing it in like
awesome.
in a week. So
Get in there, Jesse. Uh, so to wrap up the employee 1099 or W-2, uh, you have to know what you want out of your business. So I have a team of five, including myself. So the four guys that work for me are W-2s, and I got two guys that I send some contract work to in another area. And I know I can count on them. I give it to them, they get it done, they get paid, I get paid, everybody's happy. Uh, I wanted to build a business, and you too, Jeremy, uh, where the techs wear our shirts, vans, they drive our vans with our decals, they show up on the day and time that we need them to, and take care of our customers by our specifications. That's a lot of those check boxes. I don't know them all, so check your state and get that in mind. Uh, it's probably cheaper to have a contractor, but what do you want?
well,
Uh,
I'd question that. Is it really cheaper if you go in the long run and look at your
yeah,
lot, the ability for them to, I don't want to use the word poach, but they can advertise their
yeah.
business and potentially you lost a repeat customer.
Amen. Saul was asking about what I got your six means. We did cover that before you checked in, Saul.
Quickly, I'll
So
say it's I've got your back. I've got your sixes. I've got your back. That's the quick, easy answer. If you want the
but
detailed
definitely
answer of what the logo completely means, go back and watch the earlier part.
with love. Mike Carson says, "What have you done that helped you have peace of mind hiring the CSR company?" Of course, you're using my office help.
Well, I'll be honest, this answer is real easy. Long before I hired my office help, I was part of the book club. Shayna is part of the book club. I developed a relationship with her long before it was time for me to take that step. When I knew I was going to hire somebody to answer my phones, it wasn't a question of who. Like their company culture, their mission statement, their vision, all of it lines up perfectly with me. Uh, so it wasn't a question of who, it was a question of when.
Yeah. I
Joe,
don't know
that's
if this.
exactly what I'm talking about, though. If you
Yeah.
have 1099s and they're better than you just lost that customer forever.
Zach says the flooring industry has changed his mind on subs, though I, as a general rule, agree with Paul on the subs. Yeah. Um, yes. Jesse's going to reach out. Uh, Paul says, EJ, losing your Google accounts has me thinking redundancy in all parts of our business in general, from marketing, text, vans, CSRs. What if some freak thing happened and you lost those services? I uh I tell you, yes. So
And EJ, I've
pay
got a guy for
attention.
you for your Google listings. Mine was suspended whenever I first started. I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out how. So there's a guy that is really good that did it for me, and he helped
I
me get
may
that back on track.
I may need that.
I'll
Mike's
give it
working
for you.
diligently, uh, and we don't really know what happened. But I'll say, on one hand, I have multiple Google listings, and I thought that would help me. That if one got suspended, I'd still have the others, but they suspended the whole flipping thing. And pay attention next time Jenny Seeley comes on, and make sure to ask this question again, uh, maybe a little differently, because it'll get that conversation going. Jenny has started their business, Cavalry Appliance. I gotta always, it's cavalry like the military force, and I always want to say Calvary like the hill that the cross was on. But Cavalry Appliance, they built their business slower but very quick. By the way, most professional servicer last year. Shout out to the Sealies. Also in the book club. Uh, really focused on organic marketing, blogs, emails, uh, community events, and different things like that. And I'm trying to catch up in that area. And I did a little bit from the start, but when I got into Google, maybe we got a little too deep. But I'd say this: thanks to Mike Carson's uh, website work and SEO, we've been down on Google for 3 weeks, and I'm still booked with three techs, still booked, and we dropped a little bit in the organic side on the SEO, but we're still top three organic for most of the search terms. It's scary. It's definitely scary. Uh,
And that's another one I'd like to personally shout out. I would not be where I am right now without Mike. I mean, he's done a number on my SEO, my website. I mean, it's the longest and easiest answer I can give anyone that's starting out. One y'all pounded into my head from the get-go. You don't know what you don't know, and it's much better to pay somebody to do the things you don't know how to do.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Uh, so to hammer that one home, for those thinking of hiring their first tech, do you recommend hiring a tech first or CSR?
CSR, 100%. Stop answering your phones.
Yep, that's a good one. You see how productive you can be by yourself. Now, to that next level, people out there, and still drop your questions. I think I've caught up with them all. So drop your questions. But I gotta quit here shortly. But you hired your guy, and he's been with you about a month now, 2 months.
A little bit
Talk
less than
about
two.
the process of building him up to run his own calls, because you got your guy where he's kind of running some of his own calls some of the time, not quite full time yet. But talk about how you went from that process to get him making you money within 2 months.
Okay, so I know you got Unicorn Terry, and I'm going to steal that term because I've got Unicorn Adam. Like, so he's 24 years old, no appliance repair experience whatsoever when I hired him. However, he did work with his dad as a teenager, and they were installers for Lowe's. They were 1099 installers for Lowe's. So that's his appliance experiences installing appliances. And that's a huge plus. That is a good win.
He
But
knows how they work.
when I looked at his resume, I looked at all these different jobs. Prior to this, he actually was a service tech at one point for an alarm company. So I looked at that and go, okay, well, it means even before I paid for the background check, worked for an alarm company. He's going to pass a background check.
Yeah.
He's driving a service van. He has basic mechanical knowledge. I'm looking at these things. When he was younger, he worked as a bank teller. That has a lot of your front facing soft skills, all your personal interaction. Then he also worked in a warehouse at one point. And so I'm looking, okay, logistics. I'm looking at what could benefit this business with skills from other jobs. Not everything. And I'm going to jump over you. Kelly asked advice on firing experienced techs. Um, he wasn't experienced, but I saw the skills that very potentially could make him an outstanding technician. Um,
Absolutely. That's a good comment there on that answer.
and part of it is, yes, I have 20 years experience. I can teach somebody how to change a Samsung heating element. I can teach someone how to change, you know, the long step is going to be the sealed system work because we're not there anywhere near there. He hadn't touched a torch yet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want him to touch a torch anytime soon. I've got a broken LG fridge in my garage that he's going to completely rebuild as part of his tests. If he destroys that, guess what? I paid $10 to take it to the dump. That's it.
So let me answer this one way too. Uh, I'm gonna kind of turn a I'm gonna try to butcher a Dave Ramsey principle as well. But I've got four guys. I think they're solid as can be. Just like you, none of them's really had appliance service experience except for the newest guy, Bruce. But his is 20 years ago, uh, before they had control boards. Okay, so I'm taking the experience, and this is what you were saying. You take the experience that they have in whatever, and you use that in the process of developing the new experience. And one thing I look at is if they could do that, they can do this. And you took qualities from each position he's had and you've related that to our industry, and you're able to use that. And you can't just take anybody with no experience, but the guys I have experience fixing things. We fix stuff, and that helps people, and then we get paid. It's that
I
simple.
go one step further. I still think about 50% of what we do is fixing people.
That's exactly right. That's Gasper's tagline even. So I wanna go on the other side of this. How do you find good people, right? And this is the Dave Ramsey butcher. Lions are kings of the jungle, right? Who do lions hang out with? Do they hang out with hyenas? They hang with other lions. Okay.
Well, we could also go into the John Maxwell. You're
You are
going
the
to attract people with, that are
like
around
you.
your same level.
That's right. And you've also heard the saying, "You are the sum of the five closest people around you," and that's the people you hang out with are who you are. That's part of who you are. Now, you could hang out with some people that aren't successful, but chances are you're not hanging out with a bunch of them. So I say all that to say, I hired Terry. He was my friend. Went to my church. I've watched him work a few jobs, just a couple. He's loyal, works hard, he's dependable. I've seen him do things for so many people around in his free time. This is a jack of all trades guy. So I had to have him. I don't recommend hiring your friends all the time, but I did, and it's worked. It's had its ups and downs, but it works. And it's getting better by the day. But each person after that came from a connection from one of us. Mike was Terry's pastor, and then I started going to the church. Okay. Bill helped coach a little league baseball team that my kid was on. Bruce is the new guy. Mike has known him for a while, and Mike wouldn't give me any names. But the day he gave me Bruce's name, we hired him that day. That's, hey, it means that much. So ask the people around you that you know and like, even if you're just a one man. Ask some of your friends that are winners if they have any winners that they know. And not everybody that you hire needs to be looking for a job. And that, now I'm not a fan of the poaching of the competitions. Uh, if somebody from the competition comes to me, I'll talk to them, but I'm not going to go and pick my competition. What you want to do is find people that have jobs that maybe ain't happy in their job and find something that you can offer. And Mama just showed up, so I got to go. Uh, Thank you guys for joining. Jeremy, thank you so much for being on. I know you get up an extra hour early to do this, but I'll tell you, this is a topic that is very hot in our industry at all times. And I appreciate you sharing your experience and wisdom with everybody else as well. Uh, Probably the most comments we've had in a while. So maybe we'll get you on again sometime. And
Whenever you let me know.
you got any closing thoughts?
No, I just say, the best thing I can say, be authentic, be who you are, and your customers will always be there for you. You
Yeah.
treat your customers fair, you're going to have customers forever.
Hey, man. I almost wanted to say something after that, but that's it. See you guys next week.
All
Go out there
right.
and get it.
See you tomorrow.